Okay, I'm gonna start off with a movie that came out this year, and this one's kind of readily available. I got this at Walmart. I'm sure it's at most Walmarts. Even though it is an independent film, it is still getting a pretty decent release DVD-wise, DVD and Blu-ray-wise, and it is We Are Still Here. It is a horror film that I'd heard some cool things about. I'd heard it is very like Lucio Fulci-esque kind of horror, and am really I'm really into that kind of stuff. Basically, the movie is about this couple who, their son who's in college dies in a car accident, and they decide to move out to a house in the country to kind of get away from it all. And they slowly start to realize that their house might be haunted by a spirit that might be their son. Some things happen, and the film kind of turns into a kind of like almost I want to compare it to something like The Wicker Man, because it becomes very Wicker Man-esque in the last like 10-15 minutes or so. The movie is very atmospheric. It definitely knows how to build tension and atmosphere. There are a few jump scares here and there, but it doesn't really ruin it because they know how to use them correctly. This movie is far from being a masterpiece, but it is a very solid movie, and I would highly recommend it. It's got a very kind of Lucio Fulci-esque kind of plot going on with like the kind of almost House by the Cemetery, City of the Living Dead kind of like supernatural splatter film going on. It gets the effects in this movie are also very cool, very legit. No, I mean there's some CG effects when it comes to some of the ghosts and stuff, but it doesn't look that bad. The gore effects on the other hand are absolutely fantastic, and I would give this movie probably an 8 out of 10, a 4 out of 5. It is very it's really awesome, and I paid about $10 for it out of Walmart, and it's going for like $15 currently on Amazon. So I'd probably say, you know, if you live near a Walmart, and because they just might have this one in stock, it's definitely worth checking out, and I definitely think I got my money's worth when it comes to good horror movies. The next one is another supernatural horror film. They seem to be pretty popular. I mean, obviously, they're popular amongst the mainstream, so, but this is a really good independent horror film. Again, much like We Are Still Here, it has really good atmosphere and tension. It knows how to build atmosphere and tension, and this film does have jump scares, but it does not use them cheaply. It only uses them, it uses them in the right ways. Like, it has good intentions. And it is the Last Shift, another one I got for $10 at Walmart. Last Shift is kind of like the exploitation classic from John Carpenter, Assault on Precinct 13, where, well, except it's a bit of a with a supernatural twist. It's about a rookie cop, and it's her first night on the job, and for the first night she has to watch over an old police station that's basically like there's nothing left in there. She just has to watch over the place, make sure nobody breaks in or anything, throughout the night until the hazmat guys get there to get rid of the biohazardous evidence that is in the evidence room. You know, lots of bloody stuff and weapons, you know, clothing, stuff like that from assorted crimes. She has to keep her eye on the place and make sure nobody gets in. And throughout the night, you slowly learn more about our main character and about why she wanted to become a police officer, which is a pretty big part of the reason she's like at the police station. And things get progressively more and more creepy. We eventually learn that the place is actually haunted by the leader of a like cult, of a Manson family-esque cult, whose followers went into hiding afterwards, and she's getting strange phone calls that she thinks are pranks or like calls from the remaining members of the group. It's really creepy. It's got some awesome blood and gore effects. For the most part, there are a couple of CG things in there. the design on the ghosts and stuff is really cool. There's lots of really cool kind of surreal moments that you often find in a lot of like supernatural, like haunted house kind of horror films. But here, I think it's done just right. Again, it is not. It is a far from perfect film, and I honestly wouldn't say it's as good as We Are Still Here, but it was still worth $10, still worth picking up. And I'd probably give it like a 3.5 out of 5. It's really worth watching if you're interested. And again, it is readily available at well, at least at the Walmart I went to. Yeah. Next, we have a slasher film from 2015. Seems like I'm doing a lot of more recent movies, but this is another one that I honestly think might be pretty readily available. It is called Old 37, and it is basically a movie that stars Kane Hodder, who was Jason in a few of the Friday the 13th movies. I think it was like from part 6 or 7 to Jason X. He was also Victor Crowley in the Hatchet series, which the Hatchet series is a really, really awesome, kind of fun throwback 80s horror movie. It also stars Bill Moseley, who was Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, which Chop Top is one of my favorite like cult horror icons. He's a really, really funny character. But the movie is about basically these two brothers who go out in an old kind of beat up like ambulance, and they go out when people call 911. They intercept the calls for ambulances and stuff like that, and basically go out there, kidnap them, and then take them to kill and torture them. For the very gruesome sounding premise, it actually isn't that gruesome of a film. But it's still a very watchable movie, very entertaining movie. There's some really cool kind of horror comedy moments. It's a really cool original idea. Lloyd Kaufman makes a cameo about halfway through the movie, which made me just smile the biggest shit-eating grin I think I've ever had across my face at any point in my life. The acting was really good. Well, pretty good. The characters of the killers were really, really cool. You know, you learn a lot about their backstory and stuff like that. I don't know. I really don't know what else to say. I really, really like the movie. Thing is, the guy who directed it, he decided to go a different route, and he credited himself as Alan Smithy. Now, in Hollywood, that's kind of the director's way of saying, I don't want my name on this because this movie sucks, or I didn't have good control over the movie, or it didn't go the way I wanted it to go. And honestly, I don't think if I ever actually make a feature-length independent film, even if it is unwatchably terrible, I don't think I would ever do that. It was something, you had a part in making. But apparently he didn't think it was that good, but I don't know, I really, really enjoyed it, and definitely highly recommended. Probably an 8 out of 10. Alright, next one, I think it's going to be my final one. It seems like I'm doing nothing but, like, modern independent films that are, kind of easily accessible. But, I honestly don't think it really matters. It is a film from 2014. Yes, 2014. And it is, like a kind of body horror, supernatural horror, slasher, gore, psychological horror film, and it is Starry Eyes. Now, I don't think I've ever talked about Starry Eyes on my channel, but if I have, then I'm just gonna recap it. Starry Eyes is basically a film about how Hollywood is the devil, and if you want to be a mainstream Hollywood actor, actress, writer, director, you are basically selling your soul to the devil. Now, that's not what the film is actually about, but let's be honest here, that's kind of what it's about. The film is about a actress who wants to she's never really been in anything, and she's offered by her friends. You know, her friends have offered like, hey, be in my independent film. You know, and she doesn't want to be in an independent film. She wants to be in a mainstream, big budget movie. So she auditions for a part for this horror film called The Silver Scream, and and basically at first she doesn't get the part, and then she has kind of a freak out, and the one of the auditioners hear it and decide to give her another chance. And basically, by going through all these things, she goes through a horrifying kind of body horror, I guess, kind of, what's that movie called? Contracted or Thanatomorphose kind of body horror transformation into a kind of almost rotting corpse. And then things happen, and things happen, and things happen. I really don't want to spoil anything, but it's a really awesome movie. Like, you don't even have to be anti, Hollywood. You don't have to be into independent films to like this movie, because it's a very well made, well shot, well acted, well written. The effects are amazing. It has very cool psychological horror and body horror elements. And it's pretty damn creepy at times. I would probably have to say it's probably my second or third favorite film from last year to The Babadook. I think The Babadook is still probably my favorite horror film from last year. But Starry Eyes is probably a close second. A very, very close second. I honestly don't really know. But it's definitely one of the gems from the last few years, among others that I have, mentioned in this video. But, that's really it. I just gave you guys, like, 3 or 4 kind of easily accessible, newer, lesser known as of now, unless you're really deep into the horror community, horror films to check out for Halloween. Anyway, guys, I am gonna go probably edit this video. It's 20 minutes to midnight. 20 minutes to midnight. Peace.